Hi, welcome back to my channel, the Bag Maker Society. My name's Deb. Today's video is all about crossbody straps. I'm going to show you 3 ways that I make crossbody straps for all of my bags. We're going to make a simple cotton 2-fold crossbody strap, which is sewn into place, and I'm going to show you how to put the hardware on so that you don't have any twists and turns in your straps. The next strap that we're going to make is a vinyl 2-fold strap. This one has been finished with some strap ends, so I'm going to show you how to install them. They have also been riveted into place, not sewn, and I'm going to show you how to make this one so that it looks really nice and classy and high-end. And then the next strap and final strap that we're going to make is this 2-tone crossbody strap. So we have vinyl on one side, cotton on the other. This has been riveted into place, and I'm also going to show you how to achieve this no fold edge so that you don't have to use hardware on the strap if you don't want to. All of these straps and the measurements given are based on 1-inch finished straps. So when you take the measurements, if you want to make wider straps, just multiply by the measurements that I am giving you based on the 1-inch strap. And all of my straps, I tend to make either the full width of the fabric or a minimum of 56 inches. That way I know that there's plenty to adjust to make it really quite long, or you can make it shorter and have it sitting higher on the hip. But as a rule, I tend to make my crossbody straps 56 inches, unless my fabric is say 60 inches, and then I'll just use the 60 inches so I'm not wasting fabric. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please do give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Big thanks to the members of the Bag Maker Society Club and the YouTube channel members, because without them I wouldn't be able to bring videos like this, and I hope that you do find it helpful. Let's get to it. So going through all the materials that we need for the 3 crossbody straps that we're going to do. So all of these are based on 1-inch wide straps. So I will talk you through how I come to the measurements, so that if you want to make a different width strap, you will be able to work it out. So this is for the double fold cotton strap with a finished width of 1 inch. The strap needs to be cut 4 inches wide. That's because it's going to be folded in twice. So the same with the vinyl strap. This is going to be a 2-fold strap or a double fold strap, and this is 4 inches wide. This is just the entire length of my vinyl that I've cut out. And then for the 2-tone or the accented strap, because we're using 2 pieces of fabric, we need both pieces of fabric to be double the width of the finished strap. So these are both 2 inches wide, but what I've done with my accent piece is I've actually taken that in ever so slightly and reduced the width by 1/4 of an inch. So that is 1.75. So if you're doing a wider strap, you would double the width of the finished strap for both pieces, and then reduce your accent piece by 1/4 of an inch, and you'll see why when we come to putting this strap together. I have a tri-glide and 2 lobster clasps for each strap, and I also have some strap ends for this strap, and I'll show you how to attach them. The cotton strap is in 2 pieces, so I'm going to show you how to put them together, so that if you don't have a piece of fabric that is long enough to accommodate a strap, I'll show you how to put them together so you can make a piece that is long enough. So all of my cotton has been interfaced with a medium weight interfacing. I've just used a non-woven interfacing on these, and I think we're about ready to start. So with the cotton strap, you will see I have marked along my centre, and we are going to put these two pieces together so that they form one continuous length. And I've found the best way to do that is to do it on a diagonal, because you are then distributing the seam across the strap and you don't have all of the seam in one place. So I'm basically going to lie this strap across, or this piece across. I am then going to lie this piece at a 90-degree angle, and you can see that I've got a little bit of overhang on either side. That is just the way that I prefer to do it. You can butt them up completely, but I just prefer to have a little bit of overhang, and I'm just going to pop a couple of pins in to keep it in place. I'm just wanting to make sure that that is nice and square. And then we are going to stitch from this corner to this corner. If you want to draw a line on to keep yourself right, then just draw a line that matches this corner to this corner, and you can use that line to stitch down. So you will notice that I do use a walking foot machine. I don't have much issue stitching cotton on my walking foot machine, but it's just a matter of learning how to control it, because it is a lot lighter. It does kind of want to slip, you know, and slide quite a bit. So I do find that I have to control my cotton pieces when I'm working with cotton on my industrial, but I do find that I can sew it. So I am using a 16 needle, and I'm using Tex 45 thread, and I'm just going to stitch this seam at 2.5. And then I'm just going to trim this seam back. I'm just going to pop my iron on so that we can press the seam out. And I'm going to cut that back to around about 1/4 of an inch, and just take off those little tails as well. So you can see that that has joined those together, and the seam is on the diagonal. So it means when this is folded in, that seam is going to be distributed across the strap rather than all in one place. So I'm just going to use my little iron just to press this seam out. Just make sure it's nice and flat. I'll just press it from the other side to make sure. And then what we need to do is fold in our edges towards this centre line. So when I do a double fold strap, I don't go up to or over the line. I literally a little tiny way. I'll press the first bit and then you can see what I mean. I'm just an absolute sliver away from that pencil, that mark, and I'll do that on both sides. And what it means is we'll have a little tiny gap so that when these are folded together, there is space for those two edges to fold in. So I'm just going to work my way along both sides and fold the edges in towards the center. So once that's been folded in on both sides, we want to fold in these short edges so that we have no raw edges on show. And I have just folded these in by around about 1/2 inch. I'm going to take a little bit of the bulk out of these corners. So not right up to where the fold is. I've cut them just short of where the fold is. And then I'm going to repress that in place. Once you've got those pressed in place, you can use a pin or a couple of clips just to keep them secure while you're working. And then we are simply going to fold both folded edges over to meet. And I will be using lots of clips to keep it in place. And when you get to the end, you just want to make sure that everything is nice and neat. You haven't got any raw edges poking out when you fold them in together. And then exactly the same on the other side. Once you've got your strap all clipped and you're happy with your edges, it's now time to sew down each side 1/8 of an inch away from the edge at a top stitching length. So that for me is around about 4 to 4.5. So I'm going to start my stitching sort of down this edge. I'm not going to start it at the end. I'm going to start it a little way down. I want to make sure that my threads are nice and long, and I am simply going to stitch down each side. Now obviously I'm using a walking foot machine, which means that I can stitch each side in opposite directions and I won't get a twisted strap. If you were sewing on a domestic machine that doesn't have a walking foot, the best thing to do is to sew each of your sides in the same direction. So move your strap over and then come down this side in exactly the same direction and you won't have a twisted strap. When you get to the corner, leave your needle down, lift your needle slightly and then pivot. Now I'm going to pull these threads here through to the middle so that I don't have any threads overlapping, and it's simply just a case of pulling each of these threads through so that they are in this middle seam, and then I'll do the same when I get to the other side. So I want to leave my threads nice and long so that I can pull these through. So these ones are in the middle. It's just a case of trying to work out which thread is which. If you can't work it out, sometimes this last thread is a little bit of a nightmare to pull through. I simply thread my needle and feed it back through one of the stitch holes so that it's in that center. And then I tie these threads off. Trim them. And then I use the head of my needle just to kind of push those loose threads down into that seam. So that is our first strap completed. If you have any loose threads, simply just showing the lighter to them will get rid of them. And that is my strap all done, all nice and straight. I don't have any back stitching because my threads have been pulled through to that seam, and I can go ahead and put my hardware on, which I will be showing you at the end. With the vinyl, obviously you can't press it, so what we're going to use is double-sided tape. I'm just going to run some double-sided tape down each side of that line. This is 1/4 inch double-sided tape. This is my preferred one to use, but obviously you can use whatever suits you best. I just work my way along and make sure that that's all pressed down, and then do exactly the same thing on the other side. I'm going to remove the top backing because I like to work down over, but if you prefer to work up over, then whichever you find easiest for you, you do. And I always work from the center, so I fold this edge in first and then work my way out. So very similar to how we did with the cotton strap, I am folding to just up to that line. With the cotton strap as well, if you find that you know, pressing it isn't the easiest, you can use double-sided tape as well to keep those folds in place instead of pressing. So I'm just pressing that down to keep it in place and working my way along the other side. And one of my little tools that I like to use really helps to flatten out this strap at this point. So I like to use one of these and simply roll it along, and it really helps to flatten out those seams. Press it into the double-sided tape to help make it not come unstuck. So I'm going to just meet up these two folded edges and clip in exactly the same way that I did with the cotton strap, but I'm just not folding over the edges. And then once our strap is all clipped, we are going to sew down each side exactly the same as we did with the previous strap, 1/8 of an inch away from the edge and at a 4.5 stitch length. If you find it easier, you can run a length of double-sided tape along the middle to keep it secure. So I'm going to back stitch at the beginning and the end because the we're going to be using some hardware on this. So that's our strap all finished and top stitched down each end. Obviously we have raw edges at the end of this strap, but when we come to the end and we're putting all the straps together, I will show you how to attach some strap ends to really give your crossbody strap a sort of really nice high class finished look. So moving on to the two-tone or the accented crossbody strap, I have done exactly the same as what I did with the previous vinyl and applied some double-sided tape, and I'm going to fold those in a moment. And with the cotton part of my strap, I have simply folded both edges into the center and pressed. So that is all that you need to do with this strap for the time being. You will notice on the vinyl I haven't put the double-sided tape right up to the edges. It's about 1.5 inches short of the short edge of the strap, and you'll see why in a second. So I'm just going to take off the double-sided tape, or the backing of the double-sided tape, and from the middle fold those raw edges into the center. Now you don't need to worry about leaving a gap because this isn't going to be turned again, so you can take it up to right up to that edge. So once both of those edges have been folded into the center, as I say, you have these edges unfolded. We're then going to take our accent piece. Now our accent piece wants to be around about 1.5 to 2 inches shorter in length than the vinyl piece, and that is so that we can turn the edges in. There's no raw edges on show, but you'll also have a little bit of the vinyl showing on this side, and it looks quite pretty. So we're going to put these short edges together. Now we want to match the centers, and you will see that it is 1/8 of an inch shorter on each side, and that is because we are obviously keeping the accent piece slightly narrower so that we don't get any of the cotton shown over onto the vinyl side. So I'm just lining both of those up And I'm just going to sew both of these shorter seams together at 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then flatten out these seams. And they just get folded into the center. Now, obviously your cotton part is slightly narrower throughout the strap, so at this edge you will have a little bit of a gap. That is totally normal. That will obviously all be hidden once it is turned over. You won't see it. So I'm just going to do the same on the other side. So basically what I'm doing is matching up the vinyl to the center seam and clipping, and then we will adjust the cotton strap when we are putting the strap together. So the easiest way that I find to get this nice and even is to find the centers of each strap and mark them. So I'm going to mark them on the wrong side. So I'm marking the vinyl part, and I'm just matching up those top seams there, and then finding the center on my cotton. And then we need to put them wrong sides together. And I do this by finding that center mark, so I have my center mark of my cotton and my center mark of my vinyl, and I basically just want to put them together and pop a couple of clips in. And then I like to do this sort of flat against my sewing table so that I can make sure it is all nice and straight. I will be sort of like neatening it up to make sure it's even in a moment. And I sort of pin until I'm nearly at the top. And then I just want to take out these 2 clips and just make sure that this seam is nice and neat and all tucked in, and then I will work my way along the other side. So you can use some double-sided tape along the center here. Just untwist myself. I'm just making sure that those edges are all neatly tucked in. Put some extra clips in. So I am really happy with how that strap is looking. So I'm basically going to put some extra clips in and just make sure that I'm happy with it all, and then I'm going to top stitch down each side. And then these threads get tied off exactly the same as we did with the previous strap, so that it's all nice and neat, and bury the threads inside of the seam. And just simply push those ends in, and that is that strap all finished. The edges are all nice and neat, so you don't need to use any strap ends, and then we can go ahead and put the straps together. So putting the cotton crossbody strap together first, I'm going to start with one end and feed it through my strap adjuster, and I'm going to pull it through by about an inch, maybe it's just over, and I'm going to secure this in place by stitching a little small box. I might pull it over a little tiny touch more, actually maybe it's about 1.5 inches, just to make sure that I can get a nice size box stitched on there to make sure that that is really nice and secure. In order to protect my hardware from my walking foot, I'm just going to place a little scrap of fabric behind. And then I'm just going to sew diagonally across this point here. And then exactly the same diagonally across to here. And I've just stitched a box with a diagonal across the middle, just to make sure that that is really nice and secure. And then how I like to do my straps, so that I know that I'm not getting myself twisted and I'm getting them the same each time, is I put my strap with the wrong side up. So this part of the strap adjuster, so that I've just turned over, is facing up, and then I'm going to feed that through the D-ring of the swivel clasp, making sure that I'm not twisted, and then back through the strap adjuster. Again, each time I'm just making sure that I'm not twisted and that everything's nice and straight, and then I turn it over again so that I'm wrong side up, so it's the back of the strap adjuster, and then I'm going to feed that through the other D-ring of the lobster clasp, or the other lobster clasp I should say, and then I'm going to do exactly the same, as I'm just going to stitch a box here just to make sure that that is nice and secure. So that is our cotton strap all done and completed, all secured nicely with stitches. Obviously you can rivet it if you want to, but with cotton I actually prefer to stitch them closed. So that is our first strap done. So with the vinyl strap, we're going to make it in exactly the same way. We're just going to add on some strap ends, and we're going to rivet it in place as well. So what I'm going to do first is put my strap adjuster through. And I'm going to have that over by about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, to make sure that I've got plenty space for my strap end and my rivets as well. So I'll just put a couple of clips to hold that in place, and then I'm going to mark where I want my rivets to be. So I have a template which sometimes I use, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark this with my 1/2 inch ruler. So I'm basically going to line it up against the edge. Because I know that this strap is 1 inch, I'm going in half, which is obviously 1/2 inch, and I'm going to mark at 3/8 from my strap adjuster, and then at the 1 inch mark from there. So those are my placements, and I'm happy with that. So I just need to get my hole punch, and I'm not going to go through all layers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to punch the first holes in this side, and then just re-clip and mark the holes again. Oh, except it hasn't shown through. Let's try that again. And see them this time. And just using a couple of rivets. These are 10mm posts because it needs to be a little bit longer with it being through vinyl. And then I'm just going to set them in place. Exactly like we did before, I'm going to have my wrong end up. I'm going to come through the D-ring of the lobster clasp and then back through the strap adjuster, making sure that I'm all nice and straight, I'm not twisted, I'm not tangled. Flip it over. I've got the wrong side facing up, back through this D-ring, and I'm kind of going to measure to make sure I've got them about the same. And I'm going to mark them in exactly the same places as well. So halfway in of my 1 inch strap, so that's 1/2 inch. I'm going to put the first rivet at 3/8 of the inch and the next rivet at 1 inch. once we're happy that our rivets are all set, we can just go ahead and put our strap ends on. So some strap ends have like sort of a different sort of marking on the back or on one side. I call that my back. So I place that so that it's facing inside of the strap. And I'm just going to put a little tiny bit of glue on the inside of the strap connector. Not loads, because you don't want it to sort of squish out and like mark your vinyl. The hardest part is keeping the screw on the screwdriver so that you can screw it in place. And then just put the other one on. I like to hold it down with one hand, drop my screws everywhere, while I screw in the screw with my other hand, just to kind of try and help keep it in place, keep it nice and straight. So that is one strap end attached, and I'm going to do exactly the same with the other one. And I'm going to place it so that the pattern side is on the back. I'm just going to neaten up that strap a little bit so that I get that strap on nice and square. And that is the vinyl strap with the strap end attached, all finished and ready to go. And the last strap to put together is the two-tone strap. So it goes together in exactly the same manner as before. Obviously with these straps you can choose to do rivets, or you can do a stitch in a box. I'm going to do rivets on these ones with it having vinyl on. I'm going to do it so that my accent piece is on the top. So feed it through your strap adjuster, and then we can mark where we want to place our rivets. I'm just doing my rivet placement in exactly the same position. And with this being cotton, what I'm going to do is just use a tiny little bit of fray check just where I've put those rivets in, just to make sure that they don't fray. Just making sure I've gone right the way through with this hole punch. We're just going to set them in place. So there's our finished two-tone strap, which is secured by rivets. And obviously I have the accent showing at the top, but you can do it either way around, whichever way you prefer. There are our 3 straps all completed. We have a cotton double fold crossbody strap, we have a vinyl double fold crossbody strap, and we have a two-tone accented crossbody strap. So let me know which one you would use in your next bag, whether you prefer the cotton, the vinyl, or the two-tone effect of the crossbody strap. Hopefully you found this little video helpful on making crossbody straps, and until next time, I'll see you soon. Bye.